There's a mysterious new virus.
Royal family portraying
Kobe Bryant is likely to be from the site.
The economic impact.
3,839,000 people filed for unemployment.
Just been using credit cards and savings. My business still isn't able to open.
Trump was briefly rushed to an underground bunker. This on Friday as
protests against racism and police tactics are showing up around the world.
I say the names of the fallen as I remember I am blessed. Before I finish my prayer, another is laid to rest. I live in a land of shortcuts where we take it and make it better, where Lady Liberty would have a stop sign instead of a torch if we would let her. I feel like I've seen this show before over and over throughout history, but yet we still pretend it's a mystery who decides who gets to be. Cry liberty for what we see in her. How many of us believe in her? How so many disagree with her is played out in American theater. But I digress. Amidst the stress of feeling less, there's nothing left than to fight for the oppressed as though the problem was not addressed. Black bodies are more than just scenery writhing on a stage. You think that's what we dream to be while we're fighting back our rage. That imagery got into me. I hate what we pretend to be, defending bad amendments while emulating the enemy. In the past, we needed their money, but I ask, do we still? If the cost to be is the cost of me, I'd rather pay the bill.
I think resilience to me has looked like, let's do everything we can to support the artists who we've committed to. And that's not just the digital work either.
Resilience, it's interesting because you also can't talk about this moment and resilience of theater without also talking about the anti-racism work. And I think that it is extremely powerful that both of these things happened at the same time. And I don't think it's a coincidence, because George Floyd wasn't the first Black man to be killed at the hands of police on camera. We used to be able to distract ourselves from this, from the things. It's real easy to be like, oh yeah, that happened, but I gotta go to work. I gotta go make a play. I gotta go do the thing. And a lot of people didn't have that escape right now.
COVID attacked, and that leveled everybody in a real way. The race stuff looks different at every organization.
We are engaging in an equity audit that will begin in the fall. An equity audit, historical audit, kind of a training for staff and faculty, seeing how we can best decolonize curriculum.
Our primary source material is Shakespeare, right? So acting companies need to learn how to decolonize, in some ways, theater, and that's difficult when Shakespeare is your particular, focus of performance and art, but not impossible.
And that's on us. It's on us to figure out how to actually make it welcoming.
What environment are you creating that makes people of color want to come and audition for you? What safety are you creating for them? What openness, what authenticity are you coming into the process with, besides stamping any ethnicity on there?
The easiest thing you can do is diversify your programming. You can just make that decision. You really can. The harder thing is everything else that you start unpacking.
As the gatekeeper, I have a huge responsibility to get people through the gate who maybe somebody else wouldn't open the gate for. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Or to have that little voice that I have in the room to be like, I know, but think about it.
I'm already working from the thoughts and the ideas that I have, and from the things that I've learned from living and breathing and being a human and being a white privileged woman in this system. So part of me is just like, I want to explode the box and step back and see what it looks like. And I want it to look and feel very different. And I want the people who feel comfortable to feel uncomfortable, and the people who feel uncomfortable to feel comfortable.
It's accessible, but it's not as accessible as it should be. It still could be more. There's always work to do. and we're not immune at all. Like we don't get a pass because we got BIPOC leadership and our board is diverse and we do work with and we do community engagement. You know, even if you are the leader, like if you're not questioning your position, your effectiveness, if you're not questioning it, then like who's checking you?
Mm-hmm.
And like what can go wrong? Like you have to you got to check yourself.
Not only are people noticing who's doing the work, people are noticing who's not doing the work.
It's like, it's sexy to go out to the world and say, we're going to program this and we're going to only have artists of color on our stages. The real work is actually the structure work, because that then actually impacts like what you're putting on your stage and all those different things.
I would like to see us really live in what we say we believe. And if we really are a safe harbor.
If people are going to consider you a leader in the field, then I think you really got to act like it.
One of the ways to put it is for us to stop normalizing abusive behavior. And the way and the reason we do that is out of fear of losing dollars.
That's going to be the hardest thing. It's the beloved artist that you have who is really terrible. That what do you do with that? The beloved donor who's really terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And the beloved board members are like, those three people, what are you going to do with them? That actually hits to the heart of the ultimately the most challenging thing you're going to figure out.
And I mean, and it goes to the problematicness of the not-for-profit theater model in general, because we exist on the support of these people. You can put in your bylaws or whatever it is, this is what we stand for. If you do not believe in that, your contribution will be returned. His contribution should not mean more than the comfort and safety of your employees. I guarantee you, for every donor that would scare away, or to be like, no, I don't believe in that, I guarantee you'll get 3 more that do, that are like, yes, that's what I'm talking about. I want to give them my money, you know?
Of course, our institution stands for sort of being on the right side of all this. But in action, there are going to be moments where it's going to be a little grayer. It's not going to be black and white. But in those moments of grayness, there has to be a black and white in how you protect your staff, I think.
It is hard work. And people are in different places in the process and in navigating and trying to deal with it. And we do need to give people space to grow, because compassion is a part of our process.
This is the intention of this time, is to actually dig in and to make the use of this moment that we are getting this opportunity to really shift.
Times of crises can bring out the worst or the best in people, and I think it's brought out the best in the organization and people who work there. It has genuinely shifted thought processes and prioritizing the things that I think are most important. And that comes partially from the luxury of getting money to do it, to experiment. So many organizations don't have the luxury of getting money to experiment. They just are trying to do the thing to keep the thing running.
So yeah, we're just finding new ways to keep our projects alive.
Basically building the airplane as we're flying it. So we're figuring a lot of things out.
And now we're in a period where there's so many unknowns. I mean, there's always unknowns. There's a lot more right now.
Even if all you're doing is like staying home, you have to be resilient to do that.
Living at work is hard.
On top of like, I think we all have jobs still, on top of the $600 is going away. So like, it is anxiety on top of anxiety. And we also have to take care of ourselves because we're living through a pandemic and we're living through like massive social change, and there's an election coming up in November.
Even when the circumstances are against you and things are starting to fall apart, still showing up, I think is resiliency. Still showing up, still standing up.
Hi, everybody. Good morning.
Just keep going.
This can't happen fast. We're exhausted because it's hard. Change making is hard and it's slow, but we got to stay in it until the work is done.
This money has actually genuinely impacted change in organizations. and who they are. I mean, if you look at these organizations prior to receiving this grant money, they are very different. And that's very real.